Whoa, 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 whoa.
Wait, what's the problem?
This
What's the matter?
This is not a Jet show.
So what?
So how about this?
Manning lobs it. Boris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Oh, come on. I don't want to hear this.
Why not? Super Bowl champions.
Doesn't matter. I just don't want to hear it.
What do you want to hear?
How about some Mets?
Hey, if I can find one good thing that happened to the Mets, here we go.
Home run. Mike Piazza and the Mets lead 3-2.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be, I'm sorry. We all can't be like the Yankees.
Oh, speaking of.
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly.
No. God, I can't believe I just said that. All right, well, listen. How about a little Nets?
If I have to.
Hit the jumper to win it. He got it.
I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. It's been a second. I can't take it. How about some Knicks?
Oh, yeah. Big spenders. Can't win a playoff.
Fair enough.
Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper, off the front rim, and in.
I guess we should talk a little hockey, no?
People even watch hockey anymore?
They watch the Rangers.
Well, if you have the Rangers, you got to have some violence.
Yeah, no, they didn't have a YouTube in the 80s.
All right, let's get the show started.
Here we are, polar opposites. Hello and welcome to the Polar Opposites podcast. You can find us right now live on Spreaker.com. There's a couple of different places. You can go to the main page. That's the Matt Show. You can also go to the Polar Opposites page. That is Spreaker.com/show/Polar Opposites. We're also on iTunes. We are also on our iHeartRadio. We are also on TuneIn. You can follow us on Twitter at Polar Opposites 1. I'm Matt Stevens. Alongside me, as always,
is Craig Moffat.
And Craig!
Maddie, I got to admit, man, I'm really disappointed.
In what?
So last night,
Yeah?
I was really excited because...
Sure, Raw 20, whatever. We're all Raw 800.
Best part, though,
Right.
they were staying at my hotel.
Okay.
So I had DiBiase,
Nice.
Flair.
Nice. Oh, the
right?
old guys.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels
Yeah,
was
yeah,
there, Trish Stratus. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yo,
Mean Gene was in my hotel.
Is Trish Stratus still delightful?
She
was my favorite of all time.
Obviously I didn't really talk to them because they're
Deb,
out and about all day, but I've always liked Trish Stratus. She still is really, really attractive. Very, very attractive.
The Macho Man's wife is still the best, though.
It's a bitch passed away.
Yeah, I know.
So here's the
So
thing.
living, I guess. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So here's the thing. So they all stayed at my hotel, and
Sure.
I was really excited because and the thing was they all tried to, they tried to slip one past the goalie by putting their real names on there. But, I'm very resourceful,
Right.
and that's why they give the internet at my desk at the hotel. So I was able to look up quite a few of their, So we had, Shawn Michaels, Flair, badass Billy Gunn from the New Age Outlaws was there. The Godfather. The Godfather was at my freaking hotel.
Nice.
He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
Really? The
Yeah.
Godfather?
The pimp? Oh, come on.
Come on.
Right? So the show, I was looking forward to the show. And so they were it was between that and the Barclays Center. But they did literally nothing at the Manhattan Center. Where Raw was for
Right.
when they first started. It was a really weird dynamic because a lot of the stuff was at the Barclays.
Right.
Right?
And
for
that's
more people.
That's the new home, right?
Yeah.
That's where they do Raw a ton,
Yeah.
right?
Well, not a ton, but they do it once or twice a year, I
Okay.
would say, give or take. But I was trying to figure out how the dynamic would work. And it seemed like they did a lot of stuff at Barclays, and then they would cut back to the Manhattan Center for one thing.
Right.
And then they go back to Barclays for another 20 minutes to a half an hour. So I was asking myself, what the hell were people doing in between that time? And so I was reading an article this morning. People were furious. They were furious because, they were expecting more, and they paid hundreds of dollars for these tickets, right? Because it was in a small room.
Right, yeah.
And all they got was watching a big screen of everything going on at Barclays Center.
So they
And I
paid more
felt
money
really-
than the people
yeah,
at Barclays.
Exactly, right? Now, the thing was, I was not pissed for them because my attitude is, look, if you spend the money, you spend the money. I mean, you got screwed.
Buyer beware.
There are plenty of times I've paid for things and, hated it and regretted it, but, not like you can ask for your money back. But I was just a little annoyed because that was the home. And when you see the way they set it up just like it was back in the day
Right.
and everything. And they really could have used that to capitalize on more matches. And all they did was they threw out The Undertaker, who was a really weird promo that he did. It didn't make any sense because he was basically trying to say that he was invincible or he was undefeated.
But he
was
lost.
defeated. He lost twice. He
Right.
lost to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
Right.
And then at the end they bring out the Generation X with Triple H and the New Age Outlaws and Michaels and all that. And I was good, but it was man, they could have done so much more than it. Just looked like they were trying to squeeze so much crap with the Legends when they should have just did it more as like a 25th anniversary show. You know, like even if you had to do it in the Manhattan Center.
Well, why not do 2 weeks?
You know, I don't know.
Why not do 2 shows? I mean, you'll get the people, right?
Yeah, like I mean, and I remember the day like yesterday I was looking at pricing because I don't have a connection there. And I was looking at pricing and I was like, I would love to go. But then when I watch it on TV, I'm like, this really is freaking disappointing.
Yeah,
like,
thank God I didn't go.
Yeah, so it's just like you're just dragging and dragging, and even the way it was built up wasn't really that great. It's like, yeah, Austin came out, stunned McMahon, like he always does, like
Right,
in the
of course.
opening bit.
Absolutely.
You know, but then after that, the show kind of really went down. It was like, I thought they could have done so much more.
Well, it went down because of this.
Or institutionalized for the rest of your life for the terminally bewildered because your mind is gone.
Because that guy wasn't there. It's literally one of the best. Folks, just listen to the brilliance.
Or institutionalized for the rest of your life for the terminally bewildered because your mind is gone.
Institutionalized for an institution for the crib. Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic stuff. You can't make it up. Let's you want to do a little
So here's what we're going to do today. This is going to be more of a local show. There's a lot actually going on with the local teams, you know, like more stuff off the field. You know, the Giants hire Shermer. You know, the Jets have their issues. We're going to rip the Mets for bringing Tim Tebow back. We're going to talk a little Knicks and Nets. You know, and then we're going to get into the AFC Championship game. We're going to do a little bit different for the AFC Championship game because everybody's talked about it and exhausted it and everything. We're going to do more of a polar bipolar segment on the
we're going to run it down
the
that
championship
way.
games, and then next week we'll get into Super Bowl talk when we're back on Strong
we
Island.
don't. If you've listened to our show over the past couple of years, we don't really do a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah.
because it gets previewed to death. And here's all you have to know. This is literally the only. I can preview it right now. You ready? It'll be a close game. The Patriots will win by 3 because that's the way it always ends, or they will lose by 3. Right. That will be the game. I don't know what the final score will be. I don't care who's winning by how much at halftime. It doesn't matter. The Patriots will either win by 3 or they will lose by 3. And I will say this, and then we will get into Pat Shermer. And the only other thing I'll say, and I'll say it again next week because it's going to bug me to death. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot, and this is me telling you what you can and can't be, and I don't care what you think. I'm on the microphone, therefore I'm right. You can't be a Giant fan and root for the Eagles. You can't. You can't be a Giant fan and root for the Eagles to beat the. You can't. You cannot. You can't. I'm sorry.
Why would you root against the Eagles?
What do you mean?
I'm saying, like, I'm sorry. Why would you root for the Eagles if you were a Giant fan?
Because people hate the Patriots, right? Because people just
So
hate.
what?
Because they're Giant fans,
But
that
do
are
you really
Yankee
wanna see
fans,
the
and they
Eagles
hate. No, but there are people that hate Boston, and but it doesn't matter, Craig. It doesn't matter. The reasons are all nonsense. Because yes, if they're playing the Vikings, yeah, root against the Patriots. I don't care.
But think
you
about it like
can't
this.
root against you can't root for the Eagles. You can't. Can't.
But think about it like this, okay? If the Patriots win the Super Bowl, Giant fans could sit there and say they're the only team we are the only team they couldn't beat. Right? Isn't that the whole point?
I just rang the bell.
So I mean,
here's the thing, and that's the point. That's the point. I'm rooting outwardly for the Patriots. I am rooting hard for the Patriots because when it's all said and done, and Tom Brady's won his 12 Super Bowls, and him and Belichick played till they're 50, and Belichick coaches until he's 70, and they win their last Super Bowl, and what would that make them, like 15-2 in the Super Bowl? Well, under this regime or some crazy, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I want it so that Eli Manning and the Giants are the only thing that they never could beat. It's the only team they could never beat.
That's
and
all
if you don't want that,
I mean,
it makes no sense.
Yeah, if you're a Giant fan, that's a little surprising that you actually would root against the Patriots.
It's stupid. It's pure stupidity because also you get to hold it over the Eagles that they have not won a Super Bowl. Now, they won NFC championships, but they've never won a Super Bowl. You get to hold that over them. It's so delicious. It's so delicious. Why would you ever want that to go away? Think about it, Yankee fans. Think about it. Up until 2004, you had 1918 in your back pocket at every turn. No matter what any Red Sox fan said to you, it doesn't matter. Your mom's a whore. It doesn't matter. 1918. Boom, you nailed him. You can't do that anymore. Now you have nothing. So
we
don't do it.
So we got a lot to do, not a lot to do it. So let's kick off. We're going to do the local stuff. We're going to start with the Giants real quick. Now, we mentioned this last week about them on the verge of Pat Shurmur. It didn't become official because the Vikings were still in the playoffs, which now they are not.
Yes.
So Shurmur officially is the new head coach of the Giants.
He is.
We talked about it already. I don't love the hire, but
I don't hate the hire.
yeah, it's kind of like in the middle. It's for me. It's not, to be honest, although they're making it out to be, well, he won 9 games with the Browns. Yeah, but he's still not, doesn't make him a very good coach.
Okay,
at the same
but,
time.
but that was over 2 seasons.
But I don't, but
And look at what they've done since.
Yeah, but
that's like winning the Super Bowl, man. With them.
yeah, but did
No,
did he take over a team though?
Well, no, he didn't take over. They're
Like
the
mid-
Browns. They've never been good.
But I'm saying mid-season.
No.
Okay. Because I don't remember them hiring Pat Shurmur outright. I always thought he was.
Maybe he did. I don't remember. But here's all I'll say is this. Nobody knows. The thing that you do like is that every person that I've heard speak about him on the Vikings has had amazingly good things to say about him. Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, all these guys, they don't have to come out and say anything about Shurmur. What the hell? He's going to be coaching for another team next year. Yeah. Stephon Diggs came out and said he prepares better than anybody else in the league. Now, I don't believe that, but better than anybody. No. But I'm saying better than Stephon Diggs has ever seen before. So that, yes, it's not going to include Belichick because he's never played with him, but you like that players like him, right? That's a good thing in today's NFL where players' feelings matter to us now. Yeah. We care what you feel because we're really sad that you're making millions of dollars. So, I mean, from that perspective, but again, and all the people who don't want him hired because of what happened on Sunday, that's stupid. That's stupid.
You can't really pigeonhole him. I mean, listen, the same people that were praising him for winning 9 games with the Browns are probably the same people who now have second thoughts because he lost the way he did against the Eagles.
He still won a ton
I hope that's
of
not.
games.
I hope that's not the case because
I would love.
You could be missing out on something. And I don't really know how good Shurmur is going to be. Like I said, I don't. It's not a sexy hire in the league like a McDaniels or a Patricia because those are basically like the main guys.
Sometimes the non-sexy hire is the good hire.
Exactly. Think about it. When the Falcons hired Mike Smith,
right?
Mike Smith was a pretty freaking good coach, and nobody had heard of him.
Right.
Okay, when he was the Jags defensive coordinator. And the thing was, he was a good coach for, he coached that team well. Everybody was like, who the hell is that? And then, he really surprised at how good of a job he did. Now, at the end of the day, he ran his course, and, they weren't really going anywhere at that point. They were pretty much stuck in neutral, and then they got rid of him. But he was a no-name guy who actually was a pretty decent head coach.
The one thing you like about him, and I know it's different because he's the head coach, not the offensive coordinator, but he's still there, so he still watches the progress and can still help with the progress of the quarterbacks, is that everywhere he's gone, no matter the quarterback, they've played good under him. Mm-hmm. He was the offensive coordinator when Nick Foles went 27-2. It wasn't Chip Kelly. He was the coordinator. I mean, Chip Kelly was the head coach, but he was the coordinator. Look what he did to Case Keenum. When he won 9 games, he won it with Fat Face. I can't remember his name, the stupid backup quarterback for the freaking Cowboys 2 years ago.
Oh, Brandon Whedon.
Yeah, Fat Face. So look, nobody knows, and that's the point. So we'll find out, and if the Giants suck next year, it'll partly be because Jerry Reese's drafting and roster is terrible, and Gettleman, this might take a couple years, but you'll be able to see in the offense. Here's the one thing you know about Shurmur, right? Shermer's going to run the football. The Giants are reverting back to Giant football, which is stout defensive lines, good offensive lines, run the football, and then beat you deep. Right? That's what they do.
But here's a funny thing, because I thought about this, because we'll segue over, Shermer's a coach.
Coordinator.
So, hurrah.
Yeah.
So there's already a rumor that the new defensive coordinator is going to be Jack Del Rio.
Okay.
And you told me in an email you had a lot to say about that.
Sure, I do. Always have a lot to say.
Now, is that a positive or a negative?
No, it's a negative.
I need really can you give me the buzzer?
Why would you want the buzzer?
I don't know. It just feels right.
Oh, you just like, do you want him?
Wait.
No.
Can you do it again?
Sure.
One more time?
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to get angry right now because he's probably going to be the defensive coordinator, just like Shermer was the the head coach that I didn't necessarily want, and that Gettleman, like you heard me say, didn't necessarily want as the GM. So the Giant brass are clearly not listening to polar opposites, which is wrong because I'm usually right.
Not only is it wrong, it's very disappointing.
It's super disappointing. You would think John Marin would have nothing else to do with all that
I
money.
mean, he sees the Facebook post, right?
The problem here is this. I'm trying to find, and I looked throughout the day. Was he a great defensive coordinator with the Denver Broncos? Was he a great? Did the Raiders the last couple of years have great defenses?
Definitely not last year.
I mean, like, I guess what I'm saying is how is Jack Del Rio still a viable option here? Like, I'd rather have Spagnuolo back, to be honest with you. I know that sounds insane, but at least I know what Spagnuolo is, right? If Spagnuolo's given exceptional players, his defense will be really good. If he's not, his defense will give up a ton of yards, right? But if he has good players, he'll be good. The thing about Del Rio is he's not been exceptional anywhere, and he's had players almost everywhere.
Right.
And I don't now, unless somebody's going to show me that, like, you know, that Denver defense was okay when he was there, right? They were okay, but they weren't fantastic. They didn't get great until what's his name went there.
Von Miller?
No, not Phillips. Wade Phillips.
Oh, okay.
Again, went back. You know, remember a couple years ago. So, look, I don't love it. I don't want it. I just don't want it. Like, how about somebody that we've not seen before? Seriously, like, how about that?
Would you have taken Spags back?
Over Jack Del Rio, yes,
Okay.
but not over, like, a young linebackers coach.
Do you know why
or
people
like
like
a
Del
young
Rio?
D-backs coach.
Do you know why people like Del Rio? He's a name.
I get it, but
You
like,
know.
and he's also a head coach. So like, it looks like what Shermer, like what you're telling me with Jack Del Rio, if you're hiring Jack Del Rio, is that like you're you're the head coach, but you really have nothing to do with the defense. Right?
Okay.
Like, and that's fine. If that's how you want to run it, that's fine. I would rather have a younger guy who maybe might be more up on what new defenses look like and maybe get us a little bit more into what the defenses do and play today. But I just don't think Jack is a guy. But what that hiring says to me is Shermer is going to essentially be the de facto offensive coordinator and call the plays because he is a head coach, a guy who's been a head coach twice now as his defensive coordinator.
Okay. So here's the last part of the whole Giants thing before we get to the rest of it. So you mentioned before the Giants are going to be a running team.
Yes.
So Gettleman basically came out, and not to say he committed to Eli Manning for the next year, but he pretty much said he wants him on the team. He
Right.
wants him to be the quarterback next year.
Right.
So now here's my question.
Okay.
Because I really believe the Giants are the wild card of the NFL draft.
Okay.
Do you agree? As a number two?
I don't know Gettleman. I mean, Jerry
But I'm
Reese
saying
never
that-
traded out, so I don't
I'm
know.
not talking
I guess,
about
yeah.
the team more than the position.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, probably, yeah.
Because, for example, if they don't draft Josh Rosen, because it's looking more and more likely Cleveland is, I mean, all the mock drafts I see show the Browns drafting Darnold. Okay, they could switch. I mean, you never know.
You know, the combine hasn't happened yet, but
So here's a question.
okay.
If the Giants don't draft a quarterback number 2 overall,
Yes.
would that send the draft into a little bit of a tailspin where teams might be now pushing to trade up to get a quarterback?
Well, if the Giants don't take a quarterback at number 2, they're trading down. First of all, they're not taking a player at 2. They're just not. They have too many needs. And the only reason that would make sense is to take a quarterback at 2. If they're not going to do that, they're going to trade out of that position. I've seen mocks where they have them trading to the Jets, and the Jets and them swapping, and the Jets going up and taking a quarterback, and the Giants taking Saquon Barkley at 5 or 6 or whatever the hell the Jets draft. I don't think that's going to happen either. If the Giants trade out, the Giants are taking an offensive lineman. That is the one thing I'm super excited about with Gettleman. I think Gettleman actually understands what you need. And if you look at his team that he built in Carolina, they had a really good offensive line and a really good defensive line. Now, whether the players liked him or not, I don't care if the players like the GM. They don't have to deal with the GM except when signing with the team. I want offensive linemen and defensive linemen so I can run the ball and stop the run, and my quarterback doesn't have to throw after 2.2 seconds before he fears for his life. So if they don't want to take a quarterback, I'm fine with that. I think Eli's got 3 years left, to be completely honest with you. And to be other honest with you, look what Shermer's done with all these crappy quarterbacks. Maybe he can make Davis Webb into something good, and they don't have to spend a pick on a quarterback. Then drop down, get an offensive lineman. We got to talk about the Jets.
Okay.
You want to talk about Robbie Anderson?
So we got two things to talk about the Jets.
Yeah.
We'll start with the easy one, and that's Morton getting fired as offensive coordinator.
What is happening, dude? What is happening?
Here's what I'll say. I'm indifferent on this one. I don't love the move, but I don't hate it either because
Okay, but you have to have continuity at some point, right? This is
I
like
agree
5
with
in
you.
a row.
I agree with you. Okay, which is why I don't like the firing of Morton, because I think that Morton, I thought gave the offense a little bit of excitement. Did he have some bonehead play calls? Sure. Okay, there were definitely some times during games, and
It was his first year, right? Ever
His first
being a
year.
coordinator, a
Yeah.
play caller? Okay.
so he definitely abandoned the run a lot. He abandoned the run pretty quick, actually, at times. I don't really think he utilized Bilal Powell the way he should have. I felt like Matt Forte was still getting a lot of the carries, and even then, I thought Elijah McGuire, who I thought had a pretty good rookie season, overall, was getting a little bit more touches than Bilal Powell. That was my main issue. Then I also thought he abandoned the tight end completely. Like, there was a point where he was throwing to Safarian Jenkins all the time, and then towards the end of the season, it was like Safarian Jenkins wasn't there.
Right.
And this is the problem I have with the Jets in general, is they've never utilized the tight end the way the Giants did this year with like Engram, or like obviously the
Giants
Patriots
didn't have a choice, but yes, I get
but
your
I mean,
point.
but like Gronkowski and the way the Cowboys utilize Witt, and maybe not as much as they used to, but they still do it. Or Travis Kelce. I'm not expecting Safarian Jenkins to put up the numbers like Gronk or Kelce, but I was expecting him to be a big part, especially when he came back from the suspension. And
Right.
he wasn't. He was at times, but then he just completely disappeared the last 4 weeks of the season.
Right.
So that's another red flag. But what I did like about what Morton did, was really kind of utilize Robbie Anderson to his strengths, which is going deep. You see Robbie Anderson catching a lot of fly patterns. While that could make him a one-trick pony, at the same time, it was something that we haven't seen from the Jets in a long time.
Right.
Okay, you haven't seen that deep threat go that long, 40, 50 yards for a touchdown.
Sure.
It was refreshing.
Right.
Okay. The second thing is, utilizing receivers like Jermaine Kearse and everything. But, then what he got out of McCown, but then I think what worked against him was the fact that he didn't really, I felt like he should have opened the playbook for a guy like Petty
Right.
to close out the year, because if he's not going to be on the team next year, then you got to just let him loose.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, absolutely.
so in that sense, look, you can give me the stats all you want of how they finish at the bottom, every, bottom categories and all that stuff. There were things I liked about Morton. There were things I didn't like about Morton. So it kind of puts me in the middle. They're going to I think it's going to go to Bates, the quarterback coach.
Okay, explain this to me, please, because this sounds classic Jetsian behavior here.
Mm-hmm.
You've drafted 2 quarterbacks over the last 5 years, one in the second round and one in the fourth round. You have a quarterbacks coach who has not elevated those 2 players while having veterans on the team where he doesn't necessarily need to do so much. He has not elevated those players to ever make it on the field until Josh McCown got hurt this year. And that included last year when what's-his-name got hurt too, and he had to play then, and then he got hurt and everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
Then you're going to elevate this guy to offensive coordinator? I'm confused as to what he's shown me as quarterbacks coach, where you have 2 quarterbacks that you drafted young who can't make it onto the field unless there's an injury. I'm confused as to what sense that makes.
I can't tell you that because I'm not in the Jets brain trust, obviously. The only thing I can say is that,
Does it bug you as a Jet fan a little bit?
I mean, look,
Like, this guy has
don't get me
done
wrong.
nothing.
Would I have liked Haley? Of course, because I think Haley's actually a pretty good offensive coordinator. I would have even, believe it or not, I know you'll laugh at it when I say it, McAdoo.
He's a good offensive coordinator, man.
Okay. He may be a bit of
He
a
was
douche.
a bad head coach, good offensive coordinator.
So he falls right into the Wade Phillips category. So I would have taken McAdoo. The only thing I could think of is that this could be Bowles. Just maybe this is just another year. It's like a year-to-year thing. And if they bring in a guy like Haley, now what I would have tried to do was I would have gone for DiFilippo.
Yeah.
I heard this on Joe and Evan, and I kind of agreed with Evan when he said this. Like, he basically said this. He was like, see if DiFilippo will take the job under the condition where you basically tell him, like, look, we want you to be the head coach eventually, kind of thing.
Can't do that.
Now, but again, I don't.
Can't do that because you end up having the McAdoo frickin' Coughlin situation where you
But I
fire the
think,
guy
like-
maybe too early, too late. Who knows?
I think they'll keep it in the family for this year. Like, listen, if you're going to fire Bowles and just fire Bowles, like I'm okay with keeping him around. But then there's got to be higher expectations.
Yeah.
next year.
The problem for me though is that in football, continuity is important, and having 5 different offensive coordinators or whatever the hell the number is, it's more than one. And so having 3 at least over the last 3 years is insane.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I don't like. Listen, that's the main reason why I didn't want Morton to go.
Right.
Was because another year with this team and this offense, they could be good.
Right.
Morton will learn from his mistakes. Maybe he'll run the football
He'll
more.
get different players.
And all that stuff. But again, at the end of the day, they make the decisions. I don't love it. I don't hate it though either, because it wasn't like we were losing Todd Haley.
Right.
Kind of thing is my point. Like when we weren't losing a grade A offensive coordinator. Whether he was rubbing players the wrong way, which was like a story that came out, whether him and Bowles were clashing over a lot of things. People who say that Bowles isn't involved in the offense, then they can't get pissed off if he feels that the coordinator is the problem.
Right.
You can't do it. You can't sit there and say he doesn't get involved in the offense, but then he's making steps to try to improve it. I don't know if Bates is going to be any better than Morton. He could be worse.
Right.
We don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. Now, next year, they could be making I keep hearing a lot of stuff about the Jets and Kirk Cousins to the point where I start to think it's going to be where I think they're going to go after him. Like, I'm convinced they're going after him.
Go ahead. Why not? Take a shot.
So let's segue to Robbie Anderson. Oh, God. Here's the thing.
Oh, God.
You kind of have to cut him. Right?
Oh, you have no choice.
You can't possibly have this guy on the roster next year.
To be honest with you, and this is going to sound insane, and please forgive me, but Sheldon Richardson still plays in the NFL and was only suspended 2 games. It's not so much the speeding that really is the problem for the NFL, even though that's probably the worst offense, is going 130 miles an hour around other people driving a 2-ton vehicle. I mean, you could kill so many people. It's insane. Forget about all that stuff. Leading cops on a high-speed chase. In the climate that we live in the world that we are presently in, which I am totally in favor of, you can't say that about a man's wife. And I know that's insane to say, but that's the reason. Like the vitriol and the way he says it and what I don't know the way he said it. I can only imagine the way he said it, but what he said.
You can only imagine when he was resisting arrest, probably.
I will basically perform acts on your wife that you don't want performed on your wife.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Robbie. Like, don't be stupid. Now, first of all, your stupidity is beyond repair when you're talking about driving as fast as you were driving and evading cops. Okay, that's the first thing. You should never be allowed to play in the NFL because you're a moron. Literally, you're an idiot, and you shouldn't be allowed the opportunity to play. Now, you'll probably get it. Who knows? I don't know if you do jail time for this, but you were like a walk. Like, you're nobody, dude. You are literally nobody. So them cutting you is nothing. I hope you understand that.
He's an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Okay. And part of the reason why he was undrafted was because he kept getting in trouble at school.
Well, there you go. Ding, ding, ding.
Now, he hasn't even heard from the NFL yet on the first suspension, on the first incident.
Right.
Now you got this one. This is
what was the first one again?
It was he was at a music festival in Miami. And I think he was resisting arrest or he hit a cop or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Stop hitting cops, buddy. Stop hitting cops.
Here's the thing.
It's like
I'll just leave it at this. You can't do this crap and then think to yourself, I'm such a great receiver, they're not going to cut me. Because the fact is it's not going to cost the Jets any money to release you. And you haven't been heard from the NFL on that on the first thing. And now you have this over your head. And this is 9 counts, by the way. This is just like, although I want to say that maybe it was one of those things where it was originally going to be 3, but he pissed us off so much and he made that comment about my wife that I'm going to look for anything to charge him with. Well, but 2 of those things are felonies.
Yeah.
Okay, those are 2 of those are felonies. The rest are misdemeanors. The thing is that I guess I could just say he's dumb.
Yeah, literally comes down to that.
Like I was going to kind of elaborate,
No.
but then I was like, there wasn't any other reason to really elaborate on it. He's just an idiot.
Yeah.
And I've elaborated because
There
I
you
don't know what else to really say. It's freaking embarrassing.
It's insane to think that somebody would walk out of their house and be like, it's a really good idea. This whole evening. Like, are you?
He's driving 105 in a 45 mile per hour zone.
And you know where 45 mile per hour zones are, folks? Those are residential areas. Now, it could be like one of those residential highways, but there still might be people around. And who cares? 103 on a highway is dangerous because there are other people around.
And of course, he feared for his life.
Oh, you
You
can't,
know.
but you can't. Look, I get it, right? I get it. To be fair, like, that's where, like, maybe that's the only thing. I get his fear, so to speak, but at the same time, you have a better chance of getting shot if you're leading the cops on a high-speed chase than you do if you just pull over, right? Would you, like, I know that a lot of black men have been killed by police officers who weren't holding any weapons or anything like that. But, like, your chances of that happening are higher if you lead them in a high-speed chase, because then they think you're doing something illegal. If you're just driving fast, then they can stop you and give you a ticket, and that's it. But you can't use that as an excuse to commit more felonies. It's just nonsense.
So, look, right now it's too early to tell, but we'll probably figure he's going to get he'll definitely get suspended by the NFL regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely going to get a suspension. Whether the Jets cut him or not remains to be seen. But if this is here's the point. If you're trying to send a positive message that you were like, oh, we all got together and there's a lot of positivity in this locker room and everything, this is an example you set to cut.
Yep.
To basically keep those guys on edge and say, your job isn't safe here no matter how good you play.
Yeah.
Okay? So if Todd Bowles is going to do the right thing, and what we're going to hear about, because if you don't, you're kind of being a hypocrite.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah.
by basically saying, yeah, it was a lot of positivity. We got rid of all the negative people, all the bad apples, and all that stuff, and then be done with it. You have to cut them to send a message at the end of the day that's pretty much says, we're not taking any crap. We're a team. We play like a team and everything. It doesn't matter how good you are on this team. You're not immune to getting cut for just dumb stuff.
I agree.
You want to do basketball?
Let's do baseball real quick because there's really only one thing to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
The Yankees don't have really anything going on right now. And,
Quiet in general again.
It's
with-
totally quiet, and that's because the Yankees and Dodgers aren't doing anything.
Yeah,
and the
I
Red
mean,
Sox haven't signed anybody yet. And they're apparently talking to J.D. Martinez, but I'm sure Martinez wants 7 years. They want to give him 5. They'll probably settle on 6. It'll be a ludicrous contract, and it'll be terrible for them in the end. It'll be delicious.
The last time I checked on J.D. Martinez was the Red Sox were offering him $125 million, but I don't know if it was over 5 years.
Dude, whatever
Or
it is,
not.
take it. Like, I don't understand.
I think
these
it was
guys.
like 5
Are
years.
you kidding? Like, I get that it's partly it's like the
These guys
the
really think
machismo
they're gonna
thing.
get $100 million.
But if Craig, if somebody offered me $125 million, you would have to stop me from running to sign that contract. Whether
it would be like if it happened like right now, it'd be like those Looney Tunes cartoons where the
it'd be
phone is still in the air while
Yeah.
you're like leaving. The headphones would just be like levitating over the
Unbelievable.
microphone.
No, what we want to talk about with baseball is one simple thing, and I'm just going to set it up, and then I will leave it to Craig
To hit it out
to
of the
hit
park.
it out of the park. It will be sort of the pitch that Cal Ripken got in the '98
This would be
All-Star
a good
game.
This would be a good sand in the vag moment for you.
Nah, but I'll let you
But-
have it.
But we have
because
other
it's
things
your
because
team.
we have another thing that I already know you have sand in the old coin purse about.
Yeah, but I think you should stop saying that though,
Why?
because it's offensive to women. Craig, say sand in the ass. How about that? Sand in the butt. That way it affects everybody. Sand in the crack. How about that? And we can
Okay.
keep it clean for the kids.
Okay, ladies.
Sand in the crack.
Ladies, I sincerely apologize.
He didn't mean anything by it. See, you don't understand. We have these things that are just, we've been saying for years that nobody ever told us were wrong. And I'm not saying they were ever right. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. But we just need to.
Well, we thought it was good
We need to
radio at the
recondition ourselves. We need to recondition ourselves to be better about these things. And it takes time, and I apologize. So Sand in the Crack will be the new segment where I lose my mind. And this Sand in the Crack.
and we need sound effects.
Oh, I'll get sound
We need
effects.
sandpaper or
Don't worry.
something like
There's
that.
going to be like some
Sandpaper.
rubber band snapping. It's going to be a whole
Sandpaper.
thing. Yeah, it's going to be brutal. But this Sand in the Crack moment belongs to Craig. And Craig, I just want to ask a question. How do you feel about the Mets inviting Tim Tebow
Oh God.
to spring training?
First of all,
I'm going to put myself on mute.
this is the type of thing that bothers me about the Mets in general. It's the fact that you're doing things to not help the team, just to help the bottom line. And the bottom line is to make money. So this is the only reason why Tim Tebow is coming to spring training. He's not going to make the team. He has no chance to make the team whatsoever. He has no chance to make AAA or AA to a, maybe he can get on the Sand Gnats. But the fact is that
Is that really their name?
it's called
The
the
double A
Savannah
team?
Sand. No, it's single A. It's like single A ball. I think they're called the Savannah Sand Gnats. or
That's
something.
awesome.
I don't even know what a Sand Gnat is.
Yeah, I don't know, but it sounds like an awesome name for a team. Go ahead.
But like this is exactly the problem. Is just you have to help the team now, right? You have to help the major league ball club, the major league New York Mets. Okay, they need a second baseman or a third baseman. They could use a pitcher for the rotation because of the injuries, and then on top of that, they could use another bullpen arm or another utility guy. There's a lot of things the Mets still need. They won't get it all done probably before spring training. But then you just waste time inviting Tim Tebow, who hit like 210 last year and was really only good for a home run every like 15 at bats, or he struck out. We know what it is at the end of the day. It's a whole marketing thing. It's a load of crap, and just to make more money, to sell out single A games or double A games and all that stuff. And knowing the Mets, if they have a crappy season this year, which I'm counting on right now, the fact is he will be a September call-up, right? He will be if this was a polar or bipolar, and I said Tim Tebow will be a September call-up in 2018 if the Mets are doing bad, what would you say?
Polar.
Thank you. And everybody will flock to the stadium and buy tickets just because he's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, again, the brain trust, it just doesn't, I understand from a financial thing because you're just trying to make money, but you're wasting an invite on him when you already know he has zero chance to make the team.
You want to know the best way to make money in sports?
Win?
There
Buy
you go.
players?
Nope, just win. You don't have to buy players.
Yeah.
The Yankees the Yankees right now have changed literally everything about the way they do business in baseball. I mean, if George Steinbrenner was still alive, I don't know if they would allow him to do it, but they've literally changed the way they do business. They treat themselves like a small market team in building their farm system, but still have the capabilities to A, sign those people, and B, sign other people's players when they can't afford it. So the Mets need to start acting like that and maybe spend a little money to make a little money, because that's what I've always heard from rich people you have to do to make money. Now, let's do some basketball. Are you good on the Mets?
I'm good on the Mets.
Okay. Let's do some basketball. Let's do some general stuff real quick, and then we'll do some Knicks and Nets. Nets are on a little bit of a streak. The Knicks, I don't even want to talk about the losing because I don't care, because I just want them to lose and get a good draft pick.
Real quickly on the Nets. I don't know if you wanted to start with the Knicks or whatever.
No, I was just going to start with the other stuff.
The only thing I'm kind of mad about with the Nets, and I think they're playing good basketball. They got a big win against Detroit. Spencer Dinwiddie's been amazing for them this year. But I'm just frustrated because I really want to see Jahlil Okafor on the court.
Yeah, and look,
I really want to see him on the court. I mean, you traded for him for a reason, right? You traded because you think that you're capable of turning him around a little bit.
Yes. Okay. This is going to sound insane. This is almost conspiracy level.
I already have a conspiracy theory as to why they're not playing Okafor.
Is because they don't want other teams to see that he's good, and so they can sign him to the contract they can sign him to next year.
And that's exactly what I thought.
Because
too.
they can only sign him to like something like
he
$5
can only
million
make a certain amount of
right?
money, whereas if he's an unrestricted free agent, teams can offer him like crazy amounts of money.
And so that's what he wants to do. Now the Nets are like, well, if we don't play him, then nobody will think he's good, and we can get him for $4.5 million, and then we can sign him to whatever we want. Because after he signs that money, he can go sign the big money. And I think that's exactly what's happening. And because the Nets can afford to do that, because they know they're not winning this year, so they can afford to do that.
Because the thing is also, I love, ever since he's come to the Nets, I think Nick Stauskas has actually been really good.
Yeah.
He's great from 3 points.
The Nets have a lot of good players. What the Nets need is that great player that makes all the other good players better. Does that make sense?
Yeah. They're a trigger-happy team. They're they're a big 3-point shooting team. That's their kind of thing. When they had Lopez, they had the center go out, but now they don't really have a center that shoots threes. So, they either have Crabbe do it, or Carroll, or Hollis Jefferson, and all that stuff. They're big on the three. When it's not raining threes for the Nets, they're going to get blown out.
Do you know what would be good for the Nets? And not now, not in a trade or anything, but in the offseason when he's a free agent, if you want to sign a player, I think Cantor would be good for the Nets. He's a
I
low
like
post.
Cantor.
He's a low post presence. He can score in the low post. He's a great rebounder. He's kind of an igniter, kind of get under your under your collar kind of guy. I think he'd be great for that. That's because they hoist up so many threes. They have no low post presence, and they're terrible at rebounding.
And that's why they get killed. They get killed in the paint.
Right, and so they need a guy who can help rebound. And Cantor would also get him 10, 12 points a night just on putbacks, and he's great off the dribble, and not off the dribble, but pick and roll.
I think it's so funny how you and I had the same conspiracy theory. We just didn't realize until now.
Yeah.
About Okafor.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Onto the Knicks. They're losing, but that's kind of
No, it's fine. But I need to see three things.
Kemba Walker.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they have enough.
I don't.
And
think
what are you
that-
going to trade? And unless you're trading
Well,
Porzingis.
here's the funny thing though about the Hornets. The Hornets not only reached out to the Knicks about taking Kemba Walker for some strange reason, because that to me it seemed weird. It wasn't like they just threw him out there. They were talking to the Knicks. They wanted
Right.
the Knicks to take him for some reason.
They must
but-
have had players. The Knicks must have had players they want.
But they not only want the Knicks to take Walker, but take on like another contract. And that just didn't make any sense to me because.
But I would do that.
But who though?
Out of the contracts, I would take Batum.
Well, what if Batum's off the table? What if they want to
you
keep
don't
Batum?
get you don't get to choose which big ass contract I take. I get to
I don't
choose
think his
which-
contract is that big though.
Right, but it's one of the
It's not a
contracts.
max.
But it's one of the contracts they want to get rid of. And so if it is, then I'm taking Batum because he's got the best upside out of the other guys. I'm not taking Dwight Howard, and I can't remember.
You can't even trade Dwight
Who was
Howard.
it? Caldwell Pope is the other guy, I think.
No,
or,
no. Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Michael Kidd. I knew it was some ridiculous hyphenated last name. So the only way, and I would take Batum and take Kemba Walker. But here's the thing: when I do that, you can have. If I'm taking that, you can have Jared Jack and Enos Kant and Kyle O'Quinn. Right?
So guys who don't play basically.
Well, but if I'm taking one of your terrible contracts,
What about draft pick?
you can have like a second round, but I'm not giving you the lottery pick we're about to get.
See, and that's why, like, if I'm the Hornets, I don't really. Then if
Well,
I'm
no,
the
but
Hornets,
if you want Kemba Walker, I'll give you the pick straight up and Ntilikina. Like, I'll give you both. I'll give you both. You can have them right now
Just for Walker.
For Kemba Walker, absolutely. But I'm not taking any of those ridiculous contracts. Because
Okay.
if you put Kemba Walker with Porzingis, Porzingis is gonna his game is only gonna elevate because he's not gonna have to do all the other stuff. Kemba Walker's gonna do that stuff. So I would totally do that. But you're not. No, not for all the other crap. No. You're not doing that. But let me just say this about the Knicks real quick. I need to see three things. One, I need to see Ntilikina start. Okay. Two, I need to see the kid that they got that used to be on Utah that's now
Trey Burke?
Trey Burke.
oh Jesus Christ!
Could just play Trey Burke.
Let me-
what are
let
you
me-
doing?
Okay, here's the problem I have. This is another thing that maybe this is the sand in the crack of my moment.
Sure.
Okay. They were freaking talking up Trey Burke in the newspapers and the media like he was this amazing point guard for the Utah Jazz, and he really wasn't.
No.
Okay.
They were saying he's
No, the
coming,
way they were
I didn't
talking
read
him
any of
up
that crap.
because he averaged over 20 points in the G League. Where listen, I'm not saying the G League is bereft of talent, but the
He
talent
should
is not
average 20 points in the G League. He should.
not for nothing. He should be averaging about 15 in the NBA, and he's
Well, but that's my point is that he hasn't been given the opportunity. Look, you can play him. You can play Trey Burke at the 2 if you have Ntilikina at the 1 because Ntilikina can guard the other team's 2 and Burke can guard the other team's 1.
But it was
You can
driving
do
me-
that
it was
both
driving
ways.
Me crazy. It was like he hadn't even stepped on the freaking court yet for the Knicks, and they were like, everybody was like, "Oh, Trey Burke's coming," and I'm like,
Yeah, it's nothing.
Where's
but
he been?
My problem is that they don't play him, so it doesn't make it like Jared Jack is still getting 25 minutes a night. And thank you, Jared Jack, for your help. I appreciate it. But we're not going to the playoffs, so can I just see the kids now? I don't need to see Jared Jack anymore or Kyle O'Quinn. Trade them. Get something for Kyle O'Quinn. Kyle O'Quinn is worth something. He is not a bad player. Off the bench, he is excellent for the Knicks. He is excellent running the second team as a center. He is great at it. The Warriors are talking about trade all those guys. I want to see Hernan Gomez. I want to see Ntilikina. I want to see Trey Burke. I want to see I want to see all those guys. Anyway, but it's never going to happen because Hornacek is in the same position that Todd Bowles is in. They have to win games to keep their job, and so they're going to do anything to win games to keep their job. And so I'm not going to get to see Ntilikina, and I'm not going to get to see Trey Burke, and I'm not going to get to see Hernan Gomez because he's trying to win basketball games.
So here's a quick question:
4.
Does Hornacek is it Hornacek's fault? Like, should Hornacek be considered the scapegoat for the Knicks?
No, it's Phil Jackson's fault. He hit on like one or two things. I mean, the O'Quinn signing was an okay signing, but he's a backup. The Ntilikina pick, I mean, who knows? He's still very fresh. The Porzingis pick at this point, who knows? Because that's where I want to go next. Is he sitting out tonight because he tweaked his knee and another game missed by frickin' Kristaps Porzingis? I mean, Jesus Christ, is this guy made of porcelain? Seriously, if he is, can we please send him to like the factory where they get the glaze over it that makes it stronger, please? Because I'm tired of it, man. They're playing the Golden State Warriors tonight. The Knicks had no shot against the Golden State Warriors before they even walk on the court. They have no shot against the Golden State Warriors, but they especially have no freaking shot against the Golden State Warriors without Kristaps Porzingis. And he tweaked his knee. Just play. Play.
Can we get
play
for the next time? Can we get audio of like Tyson's Punch Out, ladies and gentlemen, Glass Joe?
Oh my God, it's brutal.
Or the Samuel L. Jackson character in Unbreakable. Or the Samuel L. Jackson character in Unbreakable when he goes, "They call me Mr. Glass."
Yo, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. Like, I've never met anybody who sneezes and, like, tweaks his knee. Like, what is it? They're like, he was blocking a shot in practice. What are you doing blocking shots in practice? It makes no, like, I get it. You're trying to practice hard, but dude, you're literally.
I
Mr.
brought this
Glass.
up a while back.
Stop.
The injuries and the fact that he wasn't healthy all the time, and you kind of blew it off.
No, I blew it off because I thought it was like one of those things where, you know, you're young and he needs to develop. His body's still developing.
But his knee is never functioning.
No,
it's like every other week there's a problem.
But listen, what I'm saying was, my thing was always about him getting stronger and needing to get stronger. And that was still happening as we speak. Well, my thing now is that you got to play through some of this stuff, dude. You got to. Like, you're getting paid money to do this. All right? Like, I get it. I wait tables for a living. And you know what? My back hurts all the time. I still go to work. I don't call out sick because when I don't play, I don't get paid. So maybe we should start doing that. Your contract is for only days that you play.
I agree. I'm not.
Jesus.
But again, the fact is it's happening too much. And I kind of let it go in the beginning of the season because I was like, okay, let's see what happens. But it's happening every other week now that he's not playing.
It's nonsense.
Okay, and he should be playing again. You know what? If Kristaps Porzingis is the leader that he wants to be of the Knicks,
he's got to play tonight.
Then he should be like, you know what? Screw my knee. I'm going out there to play because we're playing Golden State and everything. And because of that, I mean, I'm not saying he'll be the reason why they lose.
No, they were going to lose anyway.
Okay, but the fact is, if maybe your team sees that you're like willing to give it a go,
play 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm not asking you to play 40 minutes. I know you got a bum knee. Play 15 minutes.
But if maybe your team sees you giving it a go tonight, despite your knee problem,
maybe they play harder.
Maybe they do play harder. Maybe Beasley scores more points. Maybe you know. But again, it's tough for me to label Kristaps Porzingis a good player or a great player because he keeps getting freaking hurt.
No, he's not a great player. He's a good player.
You know?
He could be a great player. He's still very young. Real quick, couple of things around the league real quick.
Apparently, the Cavaliers are blaming Kevin Love for their problems because he was not, he faked. Like, these friggin' guys never faked an injury or quit on a game. So let's blame Kevin Love now for the reason why our team sucks right now.
LeBron James. Can I read the thing?
If we have enough time.
We have enough time. We got a couple minutes.
Okay, so basically, let's let people in on what's going on if they haven't seen it yet.
LeBron James on Instagram, and I'm sure you've seen it because he's getting destroyed, is about to go, I think it's 30,000 points. And he's about to do that, right? So LeBron James decided that it was time to congratulate himself. And the way he did that was by an Instagram post. And the picture of it is of him in high school. King James. Want to be one of the first to congratulate you on this accomplishment/achievement tonight that you'll reach. Only a handful has seen it too, and while I know it's never been a goal of yours from the beginning, please try to take a moment for yourself on how you've done it. The house you're about to be a part of has only 6 seats in it as of now, but 1 more will be added, and you should be very proud and honored to be invited inside. There's so many people to thank who has helped. There's so many people to thank who has helped it's even become possible. So thank them all. And when you finally get your moment alone to yourself, smile. Look up to the higher skies and say, thank you. So with that said, congrats again, young king. One love. # strive for greatness. # the kid from Akron. I hate you, LeBron James. Like with every ounce of my being, I despise your ever ounce of your being. It's enjoyable to see the Cavs in turmoil. I still think it will be Cavs and Warriors in the finals. Right? Unless LeBron James gets traded from the team, is there any doubt they're not going to make it?
Here's what's going to happen. They're going to fire Tyronn Lue eventually.
Yes, and then they'll bring in what's his name?
David Blatt?
No. No, I was
Totally
thinking the
caught
other
you off guard
David.
with that
I
one.
was thinking the other David.
Fizdale?
Remember when Fizdale got fired? LeBron ran to his jock. It was unbelievable.
So you could rest assured that he will be fired at some point soon, maybe by the All-Star break, I'll say.
Yeah.
And then the Cavs will make a trade for DeAndre Jordan, who they probably don't need, but apparently everybody thinks they need like 15 new players.
Sure, of course.
To go with LeBron James.
Yeah.
And that's
Even
how
though
they'll
these are
win
all
the
the
East.
players LeBron chose, by the way.
Yeah.
All the players on the team are the players LeBron
Like
chose.
he wanted J.R. Smith back. He wanted Tristan Thompson
Max
here.
contracts.
Yeah, he wanted all these guys here. Kyle Korver, he wanted him here.
But dude, that Kardashian curse, man, I'm starting to believe in that crap.
Oh, about
Tristan Thompson, dude. Everybody they touch turns to dust.
I know.
It's brutal.
You never saw Chris Humphries again.
I mean, it's almost like Milwaukee found out Jason Kidd was dating a Kardashian, so they
Yeah.
just fired
So they
him
just
right
fired
away.
him
They're
right
like,
now.
we don't even know if it's true. You fired.
Yeah, but
I don't understand the Jason Kidd firing. I don't get it. I don't understand.
You want to know what I think? I just think he did the same thing he did in Brooklyn, and he probably pissed somebody off he shouldn't have. They're 23 and 22.
Right.
Okay? They're having a fine season. I'm not saying their season's bad, and I think he's a good coach, actually. I
Yes.
mean, I do think he's a good coach. He's been to the playoffs once with Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I think, has it been twice with Milwaukee?
I
Once?
think it's only been once.
Because I know last year they made it, and this year they're number 8.
Right.
So it's not like they're on, they're in it.
And they got Antetokounmpo, but I mean, and they have other young good players.
Listen,
but
they
don't
have
have any.
Bledsoe. They
Yeah.
have they have a good roster. So the only thing I could think of is that he probably just pissed off somebody he shouldn't have, or he tried to do another power play like he did in Brooklyn.
Well, he did. I mean, the thing is that the GM didn't hire him, so was the GM just done with it? The problem I have with these sort of things is that if you read the press release by the team, it was like, we just thought it was time to go in a new direction.
Yeah, I've written stuff like that for people.
Here's the thing, guys. The problem is the new direction. Your star player, your 22-year-old Greek freak, loved Jason Kidd and tried to get him to stay, and you said no. So right there, you've just ruined going forward. Now, I'm not saying you have to keep Jason Kidd, but I mean, when your young kid says that, you got to at least listen. You have to. And they didn't. And it's weird, and nobody really knows why he got fired, but he got fired. Can I ask you a real quick baseball thing?
Sure.
Because it's not, since polar bipolar is all championship weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna forego halftime because we're gonna run a little short on
yeah,
time.
we just decided to do. We just incorporated a little into the conversation. But I got to ask you this because this is amazing.
Go.
Two things. One, is there a better reclamation, comeback, whatever you want to call it, than Alex Rodriguez ever in the history of ever?
You mean like now?
Yeah, like going from where you were suspended for a year, trying to sue the Yankees, trying to sue Major League Baseball, everybody hating you, the Yankees just releasing you, to now being on Fox Sports, everybody loves you, and now getting the ESPN Sunday Night Baseball color analyst lead job. Is there ever been a rebound like that in the history of sports?
I can't think of one.
Yeah, because it don't exist.
The thing is, I think what he did was he probably just took a hard look at himself in the mirror and just said, "I'm a douche."
Right, but
and I'm gonna move. And the thing is, but then you start to change things about yourself.
Right, but forget about all that. Like, we've forgotten. Like, clearly steroids aren't a big deal anymore, right? Because we've literally forgotten about.
Everybody in Major League Baseball's taking them.
Oh, it's
They
unbelievable.
just haven't gotten caught yet.
Yeah.
It's only another matter of time before.
But I'm talking about the
Mitchell report
fans.
comes
But
out.
I'm talking about the fans, right? The fans that
Nobody gives a
A-Rod
shit.
can't be. Nobody cares,
Nobody
guys.
cares.
And you know how you know that? Because ESPN, who sent reporters to stand outside the freaking biogenesis place or whatever the hell it was called, waiting for somebody to come out, like Pedro Gomez,
And they hired
stalking
him.
A-Rod, and now he's the lead analyst on Sunday night. And one final thing, real quick, because I think this is a good story. So real quick, I just need you heard what AJ Bouye said, right? After
Yes.
the game.
Yes.
Under the bus?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right there.
And take it from somebody who's been thrown under the bus enough times at work that the tire tracks are still there.
Oh my God, dude! They're embedded.
This is what
in the back of
this
the
is what
coaching
AJ
staff
Boye
there.
said
Oh, sorry.
after they got eliminated. Quote, because this wasn't a tweet by him. It was what he said after the game was over.
It was on Mike.
He said, quote, "We just started playing soft. We started calling more zone, and they just knew what we were going to run. We were running back-to-back the same calls, and they just had beaters for it." Now, here's the problem with AJ Boye's comments. While he's not wrong, because I thought the Jaguars kind of mailed it in the second quarter. I thought they were trying to win that on defense more than anything.
Yeah.
Okay? The fact is that you didn't execute. You are the defensive player. So if you want to throw your coaches under the bus, that's fine. But you need to take some friggin' accountability because you are part of the reason why the Jags collapsed in the second half in that game. Because when Miles Jack recovered that fumble,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was over, but I had started to have my doubts about New England because nothing just seemed to be going right for them at that point. Okay, because that was a flea flicker, like Music City Miracle type play. He got like 15 yards,
Yeah.
and the ball never hits the ground. It just goes right into Miles Jack's hands on the tackle. So that's when you started to think, oh, maybe it's not the Patriots' year.
See, and to be honest with you, and we're going to do polar pie bowler in a second, but my problem is less with what they were calling on defense and more of what they were calling on offense. I honestly think that
They were playing not to lose.
when
Exactly
you have,
what they were
was
doing.
it 55 seconds with 2 timeouts and you have the ball on the 30-yard line or something like that at the end of the second quarter, what are you doing taking a knee? What are you doing? You are basically telling the world you have no faith in Blake Bortles at all, that everything you've said about Blake Bortles being a great quarterback and you trusting him is bullshit. It's bullcrap because you don't believe it. Because any other quarterback, can you think of another team? Hell, I'll even say Eli Manning, and he's probably the worst out of all the big-name quarterbacks out there. The Giants are taking a shot with 55 seconds and 2 timeouts in a playoff game with Eli Manning at quarterback, whether they have the lead or not. And for you not to do that is insane. It's insane.
And that's
it's
why,
insane. And that's why, Marone, that's why you lost.
And the
because
thing is,
you
like,
didn't
listen,
let your quarterback win the game.
Marone did a good job overall this year, but man, you think about that game and they had that. I thought they had it.
Yeah.
I really thought they had it because the Patriots were having a lot of trouble moving the ball.
They did.
Gronk got hurt. Cooks dropped a big pass that would have probably led to a touchdown.
I never thought they did.
But I'm saying at the end of the day, though, you really kind of had them against the ropes. And as soon as I saw the time and I saw the Patriots with the ball, I watched like Blazing Saddles because I was like, I'll just turn back in 5 minutes when the Patriots won the game. Because that's exactly what it was going to happen. So it's easy for AJ Boye to say what he feels, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but you need to take some accountability. Your friggin' defensive players need to take some accountability because you didn't execute when you needed to execute. Mm-hmm. So you can blame the coaches, and that's fine, but it's amazing that he doesn't blame himself. Or it was the penalties, or it was always something, and that's what bothered me about the Jags was they couldn't just lose with dignity. It's like you lost, it's over.
Well, they're brats.
Okay,
they're all brats.
But it's it's about the frigging calls or the the pass interference or whatever it is. And look, teams get helped with calls all the time. The Jets get helped, the Giants get helped, the Giants get screwed, the Jets get screwed. The Patriots do get screwed at times too, and everybody doesn't think it happens, but it does. The fact is. You lost because you didn't execute on defense, and you lost because your coach had a game plan where he didn't just stuff it down their throats when it mattered. He played not to lose, and he lost. End of story. Anything else you want to talk about right now?
No.
No?
Yeah. You ready to do
Let us close out the show with a little polar bipolar. Which leads me to that. Where the hell was Hacksaw at the 25th?
I don't know.
I mean, then again, maybe he was out of wrestling by then.
Is he alive?
He's still alive.
He was in there for Raw. He had to be in there for Raw.
Well, no, he was only in Raw when they lost. He would just job matches at 75 years old, right?
Really? Is Hacksaw that old?
Hacksaw is definitely pushing 50 to 60 by now, right? Polar Bipolar rounds out our show. 10 topics. This is all AFC Championship game related or any NFL Championship games related because we'll talk about, the Vikings as well. Maddie, are you ready?
I already did it.
Oh, okay. Dick. Polar Bipolar, Maddie. The Jags choked the AFC Championship game away.
I'm going to say that's bipolar. That's what the Patriots do. I don't think it's choking because I don't think it's hard to say, but I don't think choking is the right word because to me choking is like this is just a slow, methodical just beat back. And I don't think the game was so ever out of reach that Tom Brady could never come back. I thought the Jags played well, but I thought what happened was this. It's the same thing that happened in the Viking game to me. They became sort of like the clock struck midnight on the awesome offense of the Jaguars, right? You went up against a better guy who said, your running back's not beating me. Your quarterback is going to try and beat me, but I'm not going to let him beat me. And they had no answer for it. So I don't think it was choking away. I just think Belichick's a better coach. Number 2, Tom Brady getting congratulated by the refs after the Patriots win looked weird.
It definitely looked weird, but it definitely looked weird just because of every time the Patriots are involved in something shady and everything. So people kind of elaborated on this, and the Post had said something that his first congratulations was to a referee. So it kind of was pretty funny, like when you think about it. But, I mean, listen, it's weird in a sense of just everything that happened, but I think overall it's bipolar just because I just think the guy was just congratulating him.
Yeah, come on,
But it's
guys.
funny. It's funny, though. You have to admit it's funny.
Oh, it's hysterical. It's fantastic. And it just gives conspiracy theorists more
people
crap.
flip out.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, people flip out.
It's amazing.
You know what's kind of crazy is like the more people I hear like talk shit about the Patriots, like, oh, I hate the Patriots, the more like I kind of have like no issues with them anymore because the way people complain about them, it's like getting annoying now.
Well, it's like
it's tiresome.
It's a funny, right? Because as a country, we love winners, right? We
Yeah.
always want to be a winner. But in our sports, we hate winners. We hate them. We end up hating them. We hate the Yankees. We hate the Patriots. We hate all these teams. It makes no sense.
But like think about it. Like I said, like when I was doing a Facebook post, I said, "Oh, Brady's the greatest of all time." That's what I said.
Okay.
Okay. And that's my personal opinion. You know, he's won 5 Super Bowls. Granted, he's lost 2 to the Giants. But I think at the end of the day,
Boom.
the fact is he's won more Super Bowls, and he's also, you know, he orchestrated a major comeback last year thanks to Kyle Shanahan. But the fact is
Oh, Kyle Shanahan, I hate you.
so people come back at me like, well, Montana's the best because he went 4-0. And I'm like, okay, like if you think Montana's the best, fine. But it's like, is it more because you really feel that way, or is it because you just can't stand New England?
I'll say this, you can't compare generations. Tom Brady wouldn't be playing this long at this high a level if he was taking the hits that Joe Montana took in his career. It just wouldn't happen.
Number 3, Matty, polar or bipolar. What makes the Patriots lethal is you never know where the ball's going.
I would say that's definitely polar, and I think that's all Tom Brady, right? That's all looking the safety away. Like, I hate Tony Romo a lot of the times, but he is very knowledgeable, and he does point things out that a lot of people didn't point out before. But I think, yes, and I think it's all Tom Brady, and it's all he's looking the safety this way, and then he looks over this way, and there's nobody there because he's been looking this way. And it just goes to show you that the way you should teach or coach your defensive backfield is to follow the wide receiver and not the quarterback's eyes, because he's lying to you. He's lying to you. When you look into his eyes, he's lying to you. And that's all I have to say. Number 4, Doug Marrone tried to win this game on defense and played not to lose in the second half.
That's 100% polar. He thought he had the Ravens and the 85 Bears or 86 Bears. Look, Marrone's defense was strong this year, although I didn't really think they played that well in the Steeler game.
No.
And they definitely didn't play well in the Patriot game in the second half. So his defense is good, but it is vulnerable. It is vulnerable to good quarterbacks like Roethlisberger and Brady. I totally agree. I think he should have kept his foot on the pedal for offense, and I think they would have won, because the only way you're going to beat Tom Brady at the end of the day is if you outscore him, right? I mean, you need to put more points on the board. You need to be more aggressive. Even if the score is freaking 31-13 with 5 minutes to go, you throw another touchdown up there, because you just never know with the New England Patriots.
Bill Belichick would.
Number 5, Matty, polar or bipolar. The Jags complaining about lack of penalties on the Patriots is a cop-out.
It's always a cop-out, because I can always point to 10 other plays you didn't do. Like, how about not getting a delay a game out of a timeout when you have the ball already in field goal range that takes you out of field goal range? How about not doing stuff like that? Maybe that's the stuff you should be more worried about than things like that. And also, A.J. Bouye, I will say this to you, okay, buddy? That was pass interference. You literally ran the wide receiver out of bounds. You pushed him out of bounds. Like, you can't do that. And you especially now, if you're looking back at the ball and you're running and you both run out of bounds, that's one thing. You were looking at the receiver, running him out of bounds. Stop being a moron. Play better, and you won't have these problems next year. Number 6, Craig, Case Keenum hurt his chance of a big payday this offseason
after his poor performance on Sunday?
I'm going to say bipolar because I didn't think he was going to get a huge payday anyway. I think maybe the Vikings go after him, but he's not going to make the kind of money he thinks he's going to make. I think this could be like a Ryan Fitzpatrick syndrome.
See, I think he's going to get franchised by the Vikings.
He might. I mean, he definitely might because they're not going to bring Bradford back.
No.
He's unrestricted, and they're not sure about Bridgewater
Right,
yet.
you don't know.
So it's either they franchise him or they go after another quarterback or whatever. But I think he'll get a comfortable contract that'll be more money than he's probably ever made his entire career. But I wouldn't say big payday because I never thought he was going to really get that to begin with.
Right.
Number 7, Matty, polar or bipolar, Nick Foles helped his chances of a big payday this offseason after his strong performance on
It's
Sunday.
the most bipolar thing I can think of. It doesn't matter. Nick Foles is still Nick Foles. Because here's the thing. If that were true, why wouldn't you trade Carson Wentz?
It's fair.
Right? Why wouldn't you trade Carson Wentz? You'd get a lot more for Carson Wentz than you would for Nick Foles. So why wouldn't you just trade him? But they're not going to do that because everybody knows what Nick Foles is. And the thing is that it's perfect, right? It's one of those things where they know exactly how to use Nick Foles to get the most out of him. But if you don't know how to do that, he's a terrible quarterback. He's been to, 3 other teams since he was with the Eagles last?
Yeah.
Or 2 other teams, and he was bad both times. He couldn't win the starting Rams job. He couldn't win the starting Rams job, guys. That's all I ever need to know about
He's
anybody.
a journeyman having a good season, a good couple of games, but he's not going to make big money on the He's going to be one of those guys that sits out for a long time.
And he's going up against Belichick this time. You don't think... come on, guys. And I'll say this, Craig, and people are going to kill me for saying this, and I don't care. Yeah, rockers. If Belichick... If they lose this... If Patriots lose this game... It's a knock on Belichick. I'm sorry, you can't lose to Nick Foles. You can't. You can lose to Eli Manning twice in that Giant defense. You cannot lose to Nick Foles as quarterback. You just can't. Number 8, the Vikings should have kicked the field goal instead of going for it down 31-7 early in the third quarter.
This is going to seem like nitpicky, but I thought a lot about this, and I'm going to say polar, and here's why. First of all, you needed a field goal anyway.
Right.
So if you kick the field goal, you're like on the 15-yard line. Then it's a chip shot field goal for Forbath. It's 31-10. You still need 3 scores, but at least you got some points on the board, right? The other thing too is that you never know if that maybe now we got some points. Maybe we could start getting something going. Maybe the defense wakes up a little bit. But I thought when they did that pass play on 4th down, I thought it completely zapped the team when they didn't when Thielen dropped the ball. Now that was a tough catch for him to make to begin with. But the fact is when they didn't get that, I think it completely sucked the life out of the team. And then it just led to another touchdown, like another huge touchdown by Nick Foles. You look at things like this and you say to yourself, oh, yeah, it's just a field goal. But you never know because if it's 31-10, maybe the defense goes, all right, guys, let's get back into it. And maybe they play a little harder. Whereas if you didn't get a 4th down conversion in the end zone, it just completely sucked the life out of you because you wasted all that time and got nothing.
Right.
So I say polar to that.
Nice.
Number 9, Matty, polar or bipolar, Alshon Jeffrey was the steal of 2017 free agency.
Just off the top of my head, I'd probably say polar. I mean, it's going to affect them next year unless they re-sign him.
He's already re-signed.
He's already re-signed. So, good for them. Great. Fantastic. He's not usually healthy most of the time, so that'll come into play next year. But fantastic. Great signing by them. Wonderful. I hate the Eagles so much. I do. I just can't do it.
The number 10
I can't say anything. I just can't do anything.
The number 10 is right up your alley.
Yeah, 10. Eagles fans are the worst fans in all of sports.
Absolutely. And have you seen the video of them with the Vikings tour bus? Okay.
That's why I'm playing this right now.
Yeah. Throwing bottles at the tour bus as it was going by. Listen, if you're an Eagles fan and you get offended by this, you can get offended all you want. But the fact is, your fan base is disturbingly obnoxious, rude. I mean, you see it everywhere. You're throwing bottles and cans at a tour bus, at a bus of football players that are leaving. You basically won't even let them leave.
And you won the game.
Yeah.
If you lost the game, I'd almost understand that more if you lost.
Eagles fans, Flyers fans, the list goes on and on for Philadelphia, but they are definitely hands down the worst fan base in all sports. And the thing is, it's like, listen, you're proud of your team, more power to you. But, I mean, you wouldn't even let the bus leave. The bus wasn't able to leave because people were blocking it. I mean, what does that tell you? Just so you could throw crap at the bus and break windows and, whatever? I mean, it's just disgusting. But
the video of that guy running into the train and the wall is So good.
Almost like it's like something out of a movie. It's like something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Makes me giggle every time I see it.
If you
because
haven't seen it, see it because it's something out of a movie.
like the guy's such a knob. The
guy's like
such a Philly guy.
the subway's moving and it's almost like Shane, come back, and then boom, hits that pole.
And then he hits
it
the train.
hard.
Oh, it's spectacular. Go check it out.
Polar or Bipolar is officially over, and this episode of Polar Opposites is over. And we'd like to thank everybody for listening. Next Tuesday night, we are back live on Strong Island TV, so check us out, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. If you want to call in, it's 516-945-9099. But we will obviously give out that number next Tuesday, as well as all the week on our Facebook page. Check out our shows on Spreaker.com, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio, and follow us on Twitter at Polar Opposites 1. Again, next Tuesday night, we are live at 9 o'clock Eastern on Strong Island Radio and Television. Talking Super Bowl. We'll talk whatever we can squeeze into that hour. So enjoy the week. Enjoy the week off of football. And we will talk again next Tuesday night on Strong Island TV.
Bye.